Right, so it's being recorded. Hi, Damon. Um,
Hi there.
yeah, thanks for getting on the call. I think we were connected on Discord, and you were looking for
Sure.
some questions around career in cybersecurity. So fill me. I mean, what do you have? What question do you have? And what do you know today? And we go from there.
I'm just mainly curious on the fact I have no experience, I'd say, besides I honestly used to cheat on video games quite a bit on my computer, and that's what really got me into it on trying to cheat and honestly got with using IP addresses and stuff like that. And I'm just curious on where I should start and how I should build my portfolio and go from there.
All right. So basically, you want to start in cybersecurity just from scratch. And not knowing much in terms of what skills are required. So basically, you need a path forward. How would you start or step in the field of cybersecurity, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what's your motivation? Like, I know you're talking about cheating in the game and all that, all those people, kids, they do it. But what's your motivation? Why and cybersecurity? Why not other? There are so many other different fields.
I've just always had a passion for it and a passion for just computers, and there'd be times with that type of stuff where I could literally just sit there all day trying to figure out how to get it to work, and then eventually trying to go through the coding and read through the coding and see what I need to replace in there to finally get it to work. And I just
Mm,
always had a big passion for it, and I would love to eventually hopefully work from home. And I've done excavation for 2 years now, and it's been great, but it definitely takes a toll on the body, and it's just I'm looking to get out of that and not end up being a beat up old man.
yeah, yeah. So game, I mean, what games do you play? Like a PUBG or Minecraft, Rope? I don't
No,
know.
no, I was honestly mainly on Warzone. I was Call of Duty Warzone was
Okay.
cheating on there mainly a lot, and then little games like Dead by Daylight or let me see, it was it, when I had my computer, it was pretty
Yeah,
much
that's
anything I could cheat on. But
yeah. But Call of Duty and all these games, so these battle combat, you like they have a strategy. You have to think, that's I used to play Call of Duty long ago, like 8, 10 years ago on Sony PlayStation 3 when they launched it. So I enjoyed. I used to spend like hours and hour. You have to strategize and all that. The different difficulty level. But
yeah,
I've never been that good, honestly speaking. Yeah, but I enjoyed the feel and the different environment they produce. So that was like
yeah,
really fun for me.
for sure.
So yeah, I mean, and it looked like you like break and fix, and you like to analyze, right? You go deep into that, and as you mentioned, something about scripting and coding. That's also something you're interested in.
Yes, I would for hours all day long be going through all the coding and just
Hmm.
going to different can't remember what it's called right now, but other people's posts and stuff, and just seeing what they say on what you need to replace within the coding to get it to work. And I would just try to figure out how to read it honestly myself, but it was very difficult with not very much knowledge.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, so you know, let's put it like an overall tech career, right? Because uh, down the road, 2 years, 3 years, years later, things changes, and like I never decided myself to be like I've been more than 20 years in this industry, and gonna go like the stuff I do is more of information security, which is like a whole governance and program. And cybersecurity is one of those pieces. We have risk, we have enterprise level, so many components, right? So
Right,
when people come and ask, right? So there are different levels, right? So when you are at the level where you're a beginner and you are just exploring, hey, what it is, what do I need to know, what do I need to learn? That's one of those. And there is some other level, and usually maybe I will be also telling you to go and explore, because what do you want to do in cybersecurity? That will be the second step. Like, what do you want to see it? So a person like you, okay, you would say, okay, I don't know. I mean, so this is where the question is, okay, there are different roles available, right?
right,
And what those roles are, what are the skill sets required, what kind of a job it is, right? You find a
right,
security engineer role on Google, but you would not have any clue what they're talking about in the job description. They will ask you Kerberos, they will ask you multi-factor, but that's will be like a more of advanced level, not for somebody who wants to start from zero. Hey, I need to know some of the basic ingredients and pieces. Hey, where do I start from the day one? What is needed?
Right.
So folks like you who already knows the computer pretty much, inside about the computer, the memory, the hardware, the disk, you crack the code, you learn the programming, or you go through the codes. So you already bypass the average student who does not know, or a person, maybe a medical student, for example, whoever, they would not know what the storage device is, or how the hard drive works, or the system and
Right.
files, right? So you basically have that base level knowledge versus a typical person. So that the next step is, okay, for in a cybersecurity, let's put it cybersecurity, not going to the infosec, that's a different thing. But in a cybersecurity, there are fundamental components. So what are those components? Like you start with your PC and from your home network. The basic fundamental are basically, I can think of the three. One is compute, which is a computer, which includes storage, CPU, and all those things you need to know. The operating system, you may be working on Linux and Windows and Mac, regardless. And is about third one is the storage, is data, because everything is data today. Like you and I sending email, talking to Discord, whichever the thing. Behind the scene, everything is being stored somewhere in the data. So
Right.
if you step back and think about why cybersecurity is getting more important, when you look at the news and government, you see people are like so many cyber threats and hacking attempts. And there's a if you go and research, you'll find what is the motivation for these hackers, right? They always stealing the data. They are not doing anything else, right? Because
Yeah.
whatever mechanism or whatever thing they do to destroy a server and anything, end of the day, they're stealing the data. If you do some research on ransomware, they're encrypting it and they're asking for the ransom money, and they give you the data back to you. But it's again, the motivation is data, and this is where they want to make the money. You look at so many breaches from T-Mobile last year, 7, 8 times they have, and some banks and everything.
Right.
So if I have to put everything together in a nutshell in one statement, it's all about data security. Everything revolves around the data security. It's kind of a think of the heart of a human body, and then it's pumping, right? And then you have to have different controls around it. Hey, how am I going to store my data if it's stored on my personal computer or on my iPhone, for example? And how strong do I need to keep the passwords? Okay, you need a password to access a file. Okay, do I need a short password or do I need a 16 character? Okay, how do I go to the next level? Okay, we talk about multi-factor password, which is authentication and all that. So
Right.
in order for you to get there, as I said, the three pillars is to start with some basic knowledge about the operating system. An operating system is a must-have. Whichever you pick and choose, it's up to you, whether Linux, Windows, and Mac. You will hear in the market people say Windows is BS and Linux is good. Yeah, it depends. End of the day, it's all about the learning. Every
Right.
operating system has if you look at OSI 7 layer of model, like application layer, transport layer, network layer, hardware layer, right? So they
Right.
work on the fundamentals. So in order for you to understand the fundamental, if I tell you, I would say go take CompTIA have a very good syllabus around A plus. Because then you don't want to go on a Google and YouTube and search random stuff because you end up losing a lot of time. So, and I can also type that in the chat, and I can also, give you offline, unless
Cool.
so those are the basic thing you can start with. Understand what is IT fund, what is cloud fundamental, what is computer fundamentals. This will give you how the file system, let's say you go and crack, it will help you understand the architecture, and then your job will be, okay, how can you protect it from viruses, from malware, right?
Right.
So and when you, let's say, log into your Mac and Windows on your computer, home computer, you log in, you put a username and password. How does it work in the back end, right? And
Right.
so those things you're gonna learn in those. So that's the important fundamentals. If you really want to be successful in the career, getting to know and getting to in the weeds of that help you throughout your career, because this is what I did being 20 plus
Okay.
year. Even cloud and AI we are talking about. I'm not being challenged. I mean, I do like to be challenged, learning the new stuff. Not I don't get stuck with the concept because I know these things, right? Because I studied. So for me, it doesn't matter cloud, not cloud, cloud security, cyber security, those different things. I never have any issues. I work with the programmers. I never have any problem because I understand the code, because I used to learn C and C++ and all that. So I understand the basic data structure and all that. So these are the very important basic skills. So again, for you to start, for example, oh, okay, Adnan, now you talk this much, but where do I go, right? So again,
Right.
CompTIA has a very basic, structured these syllabus available. You don't have to do the certification, all of them, but I always recommend to go with the two to start with. One is A plus, one is Network plus, which is what will cover everything, the basic, the fundamentals. You may not necessarily have to do the certification now, but yes, if you want to apply for the DoD job and defense, whichever the thing, they look for these certified people with Security Plus. And Security
Okay.
Plus can be very technical because then you need to have a very good understanding of Wi-Fi at home, how does it work, and how you're going to secure it. We're talking about encryption keys, basically. So these
Okay.
are the next level concept. But again, basics, you have to protect that computer, you have to protect your file server, printer, network. And yeah, I'll make a pause. So I've been talking. Go ahead if you have any question.
No, you're okay. I've actually started my CompTIA Plus research. There's a let me get the YouTuber that I've been watching. His name
Professor
is
Messer,
yes, Professor
yeah,
Messer,
he's good.
and I've been going through all of his videos and taking notes throughout all of it to start my CompTIA Plus certifications. You said I should get my network one before my
Yeah,
security.
yeah. Don't do security. First, A plus and Network plus are the most important, fundamental. It will even help you in the cloud security as well.
Okay, sounds great. And I don't think I have any more questions on that. How far will I get with just those certifications?
Yeah. So once you are done, let's say I don't know what's your plan to study and certification, like 6 months, a year. What's your plan?
I want to get those certifications within the next month, I'd say, or two.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
um,
S-
what they
So,
call them?
so eventually, what's going to happen? Let's say you get certified in the month of April. You're ready to market yourself in the month of May. One of the biggest challenge you're going to have is about experience, correct?
Right,
So, how do we deal with that? Um, so you can. It's always a thing, right? You ain't gonna get the job. Without job, you're not gonna get the experiences. It's one of those. So, once you do the certification, one of the most important thing is labs. And even I have people reached out to me, honestly speaking, through so many paid program. They are enrolled in the lab and they don't know how to set up a VM in Azure, for example, and they're doing the boot camp. They're spending thousands of dollars. So that's one of kind of a lab. So the idea behind the lab is if you write a project on your resume and somebody's hiring you, they know that you're fresh, but at least you make it to the interview call, right? And this is
right.
so you are there to market yourself, what you have written on your resume. Either you pass or you fail. So once you're there in the interview, then basically in this entry level jobs, you have to basically demonstrate your knowledge skills because they know that you're entry level. They know that you are not 5 year experience, right? But they
Right,
know what you say when you say you are certified, when you say you have done this lab. And the interviewer, let's say if I ask you, tell me the DNS, how does it work, right?
okay,
If you're not able to explain how DNS work, that's a question to me when you're certified. If I ask you what is the um, subnet for particular IP range, or give me something along those lines, right?
right,
Which you will study in Network Plus, that's a question, right? And if I ask you which protocol is secure, TCP versus UDP, right? And if you don't know, because all theoretical question. So
yeah,
that's the question mark, right? This is most of the folks do not realize. This type of knowledge is important, and this is what you will be. This type of knowledge always required when you are applying for entry level job as a network operations engineer, NOC engineer, or SOC, security operations analyst, or engineer level one, where you'll have a security dashboard or network dashboard and look for threats. So it's a first line of defense, and then you'll see, okay, this there are some alerts coming in, and you have to escalate it. And this is how you're going to grow because those alerts will have some data. Then you have to read it, and you go there and they'll provide you some training. But for you to understand some of the basics, knowledge is all buried in these two there. And once you learn 6 months or then you plan. You got to have a plan for Security Plus because cybersecurity, at the end of the day, what I've been talking about, Cybersecurity itself is nothing. It's around protecting the data and the components around that, right? A
Right.
data residing in the hard drive. How do you make sure data is secure? Encryption. It's a whole niche. People get hired for an architect just for the encryption. They get six-figure salary. Then there is the identity, username, password. I was talking about the whole career. Like down the 5 years later, like you could have just a career in that space itself. So think of this as a medical field. You have a doctor. What kind of doctor? Neurologist, nephrologist,
Right.
heart special, cardiologist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a medical science, but you have niche. But for you to start from the in the beginning, you need to understand all these basic knowledge.
Okay. Um. So that brings me back to my first question though. Like, do I will I have a great shot at getting a career with just those certifications and just like an entry level type career? But will I have a great shot at it?
Yeah, first year or 2 year will be tough. I'm
Okay.
being realistic, but you have to
Okay.
think yourself 3 years, 5 years, and this is where the niche comes in. So if somebody comes to me today in the industry for 2 years, and if you see me all these forums, Reddit or wherever, I am the one of those. If you even go 5 years ago, I've been telling people go get into the cloud security. So,
Okay.
so let's say if you do this thing and becomes security plus, and it comes back to me 6 months later, right? I will tell you go learn something cloud, Azure, Microsoft, or Google. Why? Simple thing, people don't get it. So I give an example with CCNA and non-CCNA. I'm not saying by any means CCNA is not valuable or
Okay.
invaluable. What I'm saying is, if you take the Cisco certification career path, you have people like me in the industry for 20 years, experienced people. That's
Right.
one. And people even got laid off in the 5 years. You're going to compete with them. And if you start with cloud, there are hardly any people with more than 8 to 10 years because cloud is not that old. So wouldn't it make sense to learn the new tools and technology versus learning the legacy?
Yes.
And to
For sure.
support that, you need to understand the baseline knowledge, which I already told you, A plus, network plus, the fundamentals you got to have. You cannot be successful without those. That's there. But on top of that, don't take the traditional route of if you learn a router, nobody is deploying a router in data center, AT&T and all this. Everybody is moving to cloud. So those are experienced engineer already there. Automation is done. The work has been taken care of. People need with the new skill sets, right?
Right.
So that's why once you're done with that, then you say, okay, how can I be more successful? And everybody wants to make good money, good work-life balance, and all that. And you want to have to make sure your future is career with the growth career, basically growth career. So this is where I preach about all the time. If you go to my YouTube channel or forums I speak to, whichever, cloud security, and full stop.
Okay. Sounds great. Is there any other certifications or possibly even a boot camp that I could attend to that would speed up my process of getting into it?
Yeah, I do not recommend usually because I have not taken any of them. But based on the research, I have seen people do a lot talk about try hack me. But I've seen some positive things about it. You may want to look into that, do your homework. That
Okay.
seems to be having a pretty good labs, but I have not used it. And personally, let's say if you go and use it and come back to, hey, you like it, that will be the recommendation or review I'll hear from you. So make
Okay.
sure before you sign up, take some trials, some classes. What do they teach you? Ask these questions, because you're paying them, right? You have all the
Yeah.
rights to
Right.
ask them. One certification is free available. I can send it to you on the Discord.
Okay.
This is from Isaka. It's free. Training is free and certification is also free. So
Okay.
it's, you know, you lose nothing. And it's from the most reputable ISC2. It's one of the most reputable organization where people get CISSP certification, CISSP certified.
Okay.
It's from that nonprofit. So I would highly recommend if you, let's say, planning for A plus and already studied. So I think it's smart enough. You should be able to do it easily. I don't see, why not?
Okay. Yeah. I'd appreciate it if you sent that over.
Yep.
Um. What
Anything else?
about?
Mhm.
Do I need to build a portfolio like everybody says, like a website, and then show your projects
Ah,
and?
I
stuff
don't
like
know,
that?
man. It is fancy stuff, to be honest. I say just put a blog, free blog on
Okay.
WordPress dot whatever, and put your name and your projects and put some of the project's details. Always keep in that what is the project was all about, what problem statement, and what task did you do it, and
Okay.
how you achieved it, and whether it was success or failure. You don't have to have a success at all the time. So
Okay.
write up, always start with a problem statement. Hey, this was the problem I was going to solve in this. I can give you the one example right now. People ask me, and people have the boot camp that they don't really know. Let's say in a boot camp, you learn how to implement a firewall. Okay. But
Right.
what does really a firewall do? What are you trying to protect? Is it
Right.
efficient or not? So that's mindset is required analytical problem solving. It's not okay. I'm going to block port 25 or FTP port. For what? What are you trying to do? Do you have any application in your environment? For example, I'm just making it up.
Right.
So if there is no need, you're not bringing value. So always think about it. Okay, by doing this, so problem statement is all about, okay, I'm going to put a firewall to secure my company's infrastructure. Company decided to go to set up their servers in a data center. They were all running public IP addresses. We were getting a lot of threats and attacks, and there are millions of attacks per or scans per second or per minute. And I come across Cisco or Palo Alto firewall. They say they claim to reduce by 90% these kind of scans. So, you see, so for that, you have to do some research on Palo Alto and Cisco firewall. You would not even know. I mean, I don't know if you know it before these names, before I spoke to you.
Right.
Did you know
I
it?
know what I know what a firewall is for
But you
sure.
know the
But
Cisco and Palos and Fortinet?
no,
Yeah.
no.
So companies are using this in a production environment, right? So
Right.
if you have these things in your resume, they will know this dude even knows the vendors, like car maker. Like he knows the BMs and Toyotas and all that. He's not just a normal engineer for the engine, but he knows, what the difference between these cars. So same thing, Palo Alto firewalls and all that. So if you put those as an entry level, even you don't have any hands-on experience, but these products are available and your interest. When you're in the interview, they will ask you what motivates, why you applied. Hey, I want to learn about your infrastructure. You might be running one of these firewalls. See, without even knowing, yeah, they will say, yeah, we are running Palos. You see, oh yes, if that at another interview you say, oh, you're running Cisco. Yeah, that's where I want to learn, be a part of that, to learn this. So that's 99.99%. I'm telling you, people don't write on the resume, and this is where
Okay.
they lack and they struggle.
Okay. Sounds great. Well, I appreciate the knowledge very much, and I will definitely look into doing all of this. And if you sent me over that certification, I will also get started on that while I
Yep.
do these. But
Yeah. With that, yeah, I'll hit stop recording just for your but that I will also make this thing available on my YouTube. So other folks who are watching this, I hope if you have the same question, I'm sure I tried my best to answer any of these. Somebody who's starting like Naaman in the field of cybersecurity. But again, anyone watching, and if you have any other more question like this, contact me, put your information. Feel free to schedule some time, or I will be putting some more interviews. So that's being said, this is much covered in this interview or mentorship call. I will have more, and I will keep uploading on my YouTube. Thank you.
thank you.